Here to show you how to install the Shoc Lightning football visor. Shoc Visor with UV 400 protection, anti-fog coating, shatterproof, high-impact plastic. This is pretty much the best visor out there on the market. We're looking at a blue sapphire Shoc Visor. All right. Comes with this little bag of hardware. These are the clips that you mount it to the helmet with. Okay. This is a Schutt F7, and it's a little tricky with this particular helmet installing the visor. So with the twist off release, this is a cool feature that Schutt came out with that allows you to take the face mask off pretty easily. However, because the visor has this little nub on it, there's something that you have to do in order to get it on and in order to get it to look good. This little nub right here, we actually have to loosen the screws on this front piece, and that'll create some space in here, and then we actually slide the visor up in between there, and you'll sandwich the visor in between these. So you'll loosen this, slide the visor up in between, and then you'll tighten the screws back up and it'll kind of clamp down on the visor. It's definitely doable, and when it's done, the helmet will look great. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen these two screws on the front plate. Make sure that we don't loosen them too much. We don't want them to fall out. All right, and we're going to create some space underneath here. Okay, if you can bring the camera closely, you could probably see the space in there that we created, and that's where we're going to slide the visor. Right in between there. We're going to sandwich it in between there, and then we're going to tighten these screws back up. So let's do that. All right, so this visor has a little protective film on it. For now, we're going to leave the protective film on there just to avoid damaging it while we're installing it. Okay, I'm going to work the visor up into the helmet. Again, it's a little tricky. And when you're trying to install it here, you feel like it should definitely fit a lot easier, but that's how these visors are. None of them go in like easily. Okay, now the corners of the visor, they slide up and they actually overlap the helmet a little bit. So that's this part, the corners on each side are going to slide up and they're going to overlap a little bit on the helmet. Now let's look and make sure that we have that little nub in the center. We want it lined up in the center with the corners of the visor overlapping. All right, so now we got that little nub lined up directly in the center, and we're going to push it underneath this where we loosen the screws. Okay, so you can see it, I got it in there, and I'm going to slowly work it up. Again, this is a little tricky because you got to create some space here. And you'll know when it slides under because you'll be able to slide it right up in there. I'm going to try loosening it a little bit more just to create more space. All right, but now as you can see, I was able to get it in between there and push it right up. So now you can see we pushed it up. That little nub is in. It's covering the screw holes. There was screws over there. And now we're going to tighten these two screws back up to hold it in there. But anyway, these black little brackets are going to hold the visor to the mask with these little brackets attaching to those little brackets. But you definitely want to turn it until it's very, very hard to turn it anymore. You don't want that visor sliding out. There it is, the visor's in there. So now we're going to work on bringing it closer to the face mask by installing these brackets, these little brackets here. All right, so let's put that down. We're going to open up this package. There's 4 of these. I think they gave you 2 extra ones. I think they gave us 2 extras. I don't know why, maybe in case they break, but you only need 2 of them. Okay, so put them out on the table. They have the 4 little plastic pieces. 2 screws and the 2 retaining nuts. So what we're gonna do is go back to the helmet and visor. See all this space? We don't want to keep it like that. So we're gonna reach in, pull it to the front gently. These brackets here, one of the holes is bigger than the other. If you can get a close-up of this. They're both recessed, but this side has the smaller hole and this side has the bigger hole. And the bigger hole is going to be the one that goes on the back, okay? Because inside that bigger hole is where this slides. Okay, we're gonna put this on the bottom. This is the Schutt Tropo DW face mask. It's got the double bar, slim field of view. Your face mask may be a little different, but basically what you're doing is you're sliding this over. We're putting this on the second one. Push it down, slide it over and get it lined up. We're gonna put this little piece on the horizontal bar, depending on which face mask you have. This is the Schutt Tropo DW. It's got the double bar, it's got the slim field of vision. You may have a different helmet and that's fine, but basically this piece attaches to the horizontal bar. And the bigger hole goes on the backside inside the helmet. Okay, so again, going back to you have that bigger hole and then the smaller hole. The bigger hole's going on the backside facing inside the helmet. Okay, we slide it over, get it lined up. And what we're gonna do is this piece, the retaining nut, follow my view here, and you're gonna reach around and you're gonna try to get it in the back side of the helmet. So now I put that in the back side. Okay, we have this piece, okay, and we're basically gonna attach it now. It's not easy, we gotta slide it together. Okay, so basically that goes here. Take one of these screws and put it in there. And this part is a little difficult. It's a lot easier if you have 2 people. Basically, you're gonna pull the face mask forward. Okay, push that down and squeeze it in. And then you're gonna take your Phillips head screwdriver and you're gonna push down. This isn't easy. And get it started. Don't tighten it all the way, just get it started. If you're able to just get it started there, then you go back to the other side. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna gently pull the visor forward and we're gonna work in that other clip, doing the same thing. The big hole is gonna go on the inside, facing the inside of the helmet, okay? Then we take this piece, the retaining nut, and we pop it on in through the back side of the visor bracket. You can see here, that's what I did. Work this other bracket down so that it's lined up with the hole. Pull the visor forward gently. This takes a little finagling to get everything right. So again, you gotta have patience. We're gonna take a little screw, put it in there. Okay, so now we're gonna tighten this screw with the Phillips head screwdriver. All we gotta do is get it started. Push hard, squeeze the plastic bracket together, make sure it's in the hole. Push it together, try and get that screw started by pinching it. Okay, get a couple threads started. Okay, so we got the visor on. As you can see, the visor is pushed up. It's sandwiched between this front plate and the helmet. We push it up underneath. We tighten these 2 screws. Okay, these black pieces we put in, okay? If your face mask has a different vertical bar, you might need to put these in a different place, but this is basically the concept. Okay, got each of those. We look inside the helmet, and we look closely here. You can see that little piece. the retaining screw that goes on the back side. We still have the cellophane cover, protective cover on the inside. We're gonna take that off. And we pull this off, okay? That comes off. And we're good to go. Nice and even space on both sides. That center nub is buried up underneath. It's sandwiched between this plate. These two screws are tight. The black screws are tight. Now what happens is there shouldn't be any space between the face mask and the visor. And how you get it that way is when you're putting on these clips, these little black clips, when you put them on very loosely first. Put those black clips on very loosely. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your finger underneath. You're gonna pull the visor as tight as you can, pinch it to the face mask, and then you're gonna tighten each of these screws. You're gonna tighten that one, and then you're gonna tighten that one, okay? And once they're tight, it'll keep that visor pressed up against the face mask, so there's a very minimum amount of space in there. The visor is installed. Schutt F7, Shoc Visor installation complete. Brought to you by Long Island Elite Football, New York.